I was just going to ask what kind of got you started in your podcast?
Yeah, sure. So I had just gotten back from a deployment, and I was working at a like a flooring company. And then is my audio good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I just lost it in my headphones, so I just want to make sure. There we go. I just gotten back, and at the end of the day, I worked in a warehouse at a flooring company, and at the end of the day, the last like 30 minutes, 40 minutes was like sweeping, cleaning up, shit like that. So I throw an AirPod in, just fucking listen to podcasts, and I had known about podcasting, I had known about like Joe Rogan and shit like that, but I never really got like super into podcasts until maybe like end of 2018 and beginning of 2019, and then when we got shipped over to Djibouti, Africa. I mean, we're sitting in a guard tower a lot of times. We just fucking listen to it. We're just like blasting through podcasts and shit. Anyway, so I carried on, and I'm listening to an episode with him and Post Malone, and I was like, well, what the fuck? Like the first like 45 minutes, an hour of it is like Post Malone's career, how he came up, and that's interesting to hear about. But the last 2.5 hours is nonsense because they're drinking and they're on mushrooms. Yeah. And they're smoking. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, well, what the fuck do my friends do on a Friday night, right? We have a couple of beers, talk shit, hang out. It's like, why can't you throw a microphone in that, right? And then so I started doing that, and then it kind of just like somersaulted and snowballed into what it is now. And I mean, as you guys know, it's a lot of fucking fun.
It is a lot of fun, and I think that's the key to, wanting to do it, is having fun. I mean, and hopefully learning along the way. Is that kind of where what you've kind of found?
Dude, it has become like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some nights where it's a labor of love, emphasis on labor, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But then, dude, 99% of the time, it is so, whether it's the production of it, whether, like, we just moved, so me and my buddy Joey, we got a spot together on the west side, and so when you come to the podcast, you'll see the new studio, and building a new studio every time is just so much fucking fun. I think I'm on my third one now, because I started out in a garage, then I had moved in with my chick, and then moved in with my buddies, and my buddies, like, we didn't have a space, like a conventional space for a podcast studio. So I got a bunch of PVC pipes, and because in the entryway, they had this, like, half wall that came into a foyer. So from, like, the half wall, add, like, maybe 3 feet this way, and then, like, 6 feet this way, just walled it off with PVC pipes and a curtain, and just built it in there. And now we've got it. Now I finally have like a dedicated room to it again, so I get to build that out. And
that's cool, man.
And it be like, it's become like a part of, like, a way I can express like who I am with my personality. Like I love fucking comic books and shit, so I've got walls of that stuff in there, and then I've got like my video games in there, and then I've got like the producer setup, like Alan's got. So from the production design to fucking, I mean, advertising your own shit, as you guys know, is tough, but I mean, you got to do it. Right. Yeah. And so finding out, like, I found out, like, I'm still trying to figure it out, how to strike a good medium between, like, how do I represent my guests well, and then how do I do something that people are going to give a shit to listen about, right? Because a lot, and that's been a realization over the last, and it's so obvious when you say it, but that's been like a development, a realization for me, like, in the last 6 months or so, because up until then, I was just so focused on, like, I don't give a fuck what people think. This is, like, these reels I put out, these clips I put out, I'm doing it for the purpose of highlighting what I think is awesome about the guest. But there needs to be a added blend of, like, okay, but entice people. It's enticing to you, but, like, you need to broaden it out. And then when you get a big audience, you can start zeroing in and so on and so forth. So it's a constant learning curve, and it's a constant, like, evolution, like you were saying a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And then, like, I commend you guys. I know you guys don't always have a guest on, and like I got a couple of friends that I love to death. I don't know if I could sit down with them every week and do a fucking podcast. Well, just because, like, that's not how my brain works. You know what I mean? Like, and that's been one of the greatest things about doing the podcast with. I'm doing it, having it exclusively based on guests, is I'm having this like secondhand education and meeting all these fucking dope people I never would even known exist.
Well,
you know?
And I think to do a podcast with your friends for a long time, you kind of have to have similar interests. You probably have similar interests with your friends. You could probably cover, at least in a short podcast if you wanted to, on a weekly basis. But trying to get everybody together and all that kind of stuff, it's definitely a task. What's your favorite